PowerPlayChess, brought to you in association with Kagi. I'd like to show you one of the top games from round 6 of the British Championship. We have Matthew Wadsworth, 24 years old, an international master, playing against Shreyas Royal, also an international master. He's 15 years old. Both players going for grandmaster norms as well as, trying to do well in the tournament. But I think that's in the back of their minds. Are they playing safely? Are they playing all out for a win to go for first in the tournament? Or do they want to get that coveted grandmaster norm? I think this colours their play. Anyway, Wadsworth with white. And it's a Reti English after c4. And Shreyas going for this typical Marozzi bind type position where black wants to play e5 and get a big centre. Now, it's impossible to play e5 straight away because of the tactics with knight takes e5, and this is under attack. So the normal move here is knight c7. There are a lot of games played here from this position. You go for e5 or possibly g6 as well. But Shreyas plays a slightly unusual move, exchanging on c3. Unusual? Well, why have many players refrained from playing this? Why not? It does make sense because this knight is under attack, and black doesn't lose time, so exchanges pieces, and then you go for e5. From a positional point of view, this is slightly frowned upon because this b pawn comes into the centre, and this can give white more influence, for example, over the d5 square. However, as I said, black doesn't lose time in getting in e5, and this is a very straightforward way for black to play. And in fact, some very decent players have played like this in the past. It's funny how fashion takes over, and as I said, knight c7 is the most popular move, but this looks to my eyes like a very decent way for black to play. Now, how does white set up here? I suppose you don't want to play c4 too quickly because that can give black access to the d4 square. So knight d2 played. So this opens up the bishop, and this knight might swing around, as we're going to see, into d5. Bishop e6 and knight c4. As I said, I think black is quite comfortable here, and there are several decent moves. You could just play queen d7 here, bishop d5 to block out this bishop. Shreyas goes for queen c7, and this potentially involves a pawn sacrifice. I wonder what would happen after this move. Would Shreyas play safely like this, but white has a positional advantage? But then again, there are weak squares over here. Or you could sacrifice a pawn like this. And then, again, play on these light squares. But Matthew didn't want to do that, and instead just swung the knight back to e3, looking at the d5 square. So queen d7 covers this, and now c4. So you can see that white is looking to occupy the d5 square. But it's not such a big deal. I like bishop h3. Getting rid of this important bishop which covers the king. And now in exchange on h3, I would be slightly concerned about bringing my opponent's queen to h3. But we can see that the knight stands well on d5. And after e3, if necessary, the queen can come out and covers these squares. Now, rook fe8 played by Shreyas here. Do you know what? I think if he'd been playing with, in a more relaxed way, I think he might have played rook e8, rook ae8, leaving the king's rook where it is, potentially to support the advance of the f-pawn. this looks to me like the most aggressive way to play. Whereas rook e8, of course, it's a good move. But it's not absolutely going for it. And I wonder whether Shreyas is just playing a little bit safe here. And then rook d8. Yeah, again, very sensible, just putting the pieces in the middle. Knight b4. Good move. I think it's necessary to exchange off that big knight on d5. e4, supporting the knight. And white gets a protected passed pawn in the middle of the board. Now Shreyas brings the queen back. Yeah, there was basically, with the queen on h3, there were no pieces supporting it, so its job is done. It comes back to d7. So, black is set up very solidly in the middle of the board. And b5 looks like a really sensible move. Of course, if black is given the opportunity to play b4 and then advance the a pawn, that's potentially a very nice overlap. So Matthew exchanges on b5. Well, obviously that's desirable for black because white's pawn on d5 doesn't have that protection now. It's possible to play queen takes b5 here. And, well, it's roughly level. But f6 by Shreyas. So what he's doing here is just protecting this one. And he's making sure that he's just dropping the bishop back. And he wants to capture on d5. And it's looking roughly level now. You can see that both sides have a weak pawn. Material is even. Both sides have a weak pawn. And it looks like things are going to fizzle out to a draw. So these exchanges took place. White optically looks better here because of this queenside majority. There's 2 against 1. And the rooks are well placed to support these pawns as well. But with a couple of accurate moves, black should hold this position. So, for example, if black plays rook c8 here, that forces an exchange. Well, it doesn't force it, but okay, it's the white has nothing better. Exchange on c1, a takes b6. This should be a draw, for example, here. Rook d4 and takes. Okay, that's a theoretical draw. Once the rook goes behind this pawn. But Shreyas was a little bit careless here. He played rook d8. And Matthew came up with an excellent idea here. Well, not an idea. Basically, this is a white play and win position. Can you calculate this out? White is winning this position. How, basically? That's the question. Tell you what, I'll have a little drink. You have a little think. What would you play as white to win this position? My usual tea is in there. It's too hot a day. I'm drinking water. Well, a5 is certainly not a bad move. If that's taken, then bishop takes and the pawn is looking good. And if bishop takes, rook takes, yeah, that's definitely better for white. Decent chances. But there's something even stronger, and that's exchanging on b6 and a5. So that pawn wants to push through. So that gets taken. And now the rook is perfectly placed behind the b pawn. And black is lost. Rook c8 check threatened. So the rook has to come back. Rook c7 prevents the king escaping from the back rank. Yes, this is the problem when you have an advanced f-pawn. The 7th rank is now clear. Rook f8. So perhaps this could help the defence, but black can't do much here because of that pawn on b7. Rook c1. So that means if rook f7, then you can check on c8 and win. So a4, this is black's only chance to distract white. I mean, you could just pick up that pawn with this and rook a4, and ultimately this should be a win for white. But Matthew plays in a really punchy way now. Rook d7. He's absolutely going for it. a3 and rook c7. Threatening mate in a couple. Check, check, and rook g7 mate. So if, okay, a2, well, let's just show that. We can do that with lots of checks. That's mate. Okay, what about moving the rook? Okay, then we can take here. And rook, all we need to do now is just bring this rook back. Rook g4, so you can swing over and pick up this pawn. And if e4, okay, we just need to get that rook back. It's not too difficult. And then the rook will collect, basically. Okay, so this is the thing. White is attacking along the 7th and can also get back to pick up the a-pawn. In the meantime, black can do very little as the rooks are tied to the 8th rank. So what did Shreyas do here? Well, rook f7. That's a clever defense. So that means that after rook takes a2, well, it's not going to be checkmate, and that pawn provides counterplay. So what did Matthew Wadsworth do now? He gave a check. So that forces the rook back, and then he came back again. Is it going to be a draw? Now this was move 39. So time control at move 40. Now he didn't repeat moves. Instead, at move 40 he took on f7. So now he's got time to calculate. a2. Well, if the rook comes back to defend, then black will be able to take here and pick up the pawn on b7. So that's no good, but no, that's not the idea. So after a2, white continued along the 7th rank. King f8, check. And then rook takes h7, allowing black to queen. So black has a queen against a rook, but there's no escape for black's king along the 7th. And the king is sufficiently protected. So the game went queen a2, rook c7, so now there's a threat to check on h8 as well as check on c8. Some checks with the queen, but they run out pretty quickly. And this is still a deadly threat. King d8 played, so if check, then king takes rook, but a winning move. Rook c8 check, game over. If rook takes, you can check. And we transpose into a pawn endgame where white is a pawn up, and of course that is very, very easy to win. Well, okay, if we want to play out a few moves, we can do this and then just distract black's king with the h-pawn, take here and take here. Game over. Just coming back to this position, okay, king f8 played in the game. What about king h8? Okay, let's just have a quick look at that. What if the king stays in the corner? Well, this is still winning for white. So first of all, we'll play rook d7. So now there's a threat to play rook c8. So the queen comes back to cover the c8 square. And now h4. This is really nice. So the pawn is going to come to h6, and then there's going to be a check here, and mate on h8. Okay, so let me just show you this very quickly. This is the basic idea. So check here, and mate. You see that pawn defends the rook. I mean, there are other variations there. It's slightly more complicated in other ways, but still, white is winning that position. So let me just go to the final position. Really nice technique from Matthew Wadsworth. From Shreyas, well, I think he played nervously in this game. As I said, I think, he's got this Grandmaster norm in his mind, and he was playing a bit safe. In positions like this, under normal circumstances, I think he'd play rook e8 and give himself some chances to attack on the king side. But let's have a look at the scores at the top, because it's really bunching up now. 6 rounds played, 3 rounds to go in the British Championship. There are 5 players sharing the lead. Amit Ghazi, Matthew Wadsworth and Gawain Jones all on 5. Then we have a chasing pack of stacks of players on 4.5, including Michael Adams, David Howell, Shreyas Royal, Luke McShane, well, I'll go through them all, Eldar Gasanov, Richard Palliser, Sviatoslav Bazakutsa, and Aravamudan Balaji, all on 4.5. So that's, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 8 players on 4.5. 3 players on 5. It's really tight with 3 rounds to go. The top pairings, Amit Ghazi plays Matthew Wadsworth, Michael Adams plays Gawain Jones on board too. That's going to be a scrap. It's going to be very interesting indeed. So all to play for. I'll give you an update as soon as I can. Oh, hang on, before I forget. My chessball courses, the Kalashnikov and the Anti-Sicilians und die Anti-Sizilianer für Schwarz. They're all on sale at Chessable right now. So do get them while you can. Thanks for watching.